The number of deaths globally from coronavirus has gone over 3,000 after dozens more died at its epicenter in China, and cases have soared around the world, with a second fatality on US soil. The virus has now spread to 62 countries. There was some good news from China this morning. It has reported its lowest daily number of new coronavirus infections since late January. However, it is spreading particularly quickly in Iran, with more than 500 new cases confirmed today. The number of infections also continues to surge in South Korea, the total there rising to more than 4,000. The head of the religious sect that has been linked to about 60% of South Korea's cases has apologized for the spread of the disease. This is Lee Man-hee admitting many people had been infected. He said it wasn't intentional. And as you can see, he got down on his knees before reporters. And here in Europe, in the last hour, we've heard from the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. She has announced a corona response team and said the risk level in Europe had been raised from moderate to high. Let's take you live now to our correspondent in Hong Kong. Robin Brandt is there for us, and to Milan, Bethany Bell is there. Robin, if I could start with you, can you explain more this good news we're hearing from China about the infection rate?
Yes, so the rate of new cases has fallen. That, of course, is positive. The number of new deaths as well, that has gone up by 42 in terms of compared to the figures 24 hours ago. But what's most significant about those is that all those deaths occurred in the province of Hubei. That is the place where this all began. There are no new deaths across the rest of mainland China, according to these figures from the government. And as we say every day, we have to rely on these official figures from the government. So that seems to be yet fresh evidence that the draconian measures put in place, essentially to lock down that province of Hubei, do appear to be being successful in terms of trying to prevent the spread, the further spread across the rest of China. Now, a meeting chaired by this country's number 2 politician, Li Keqiang, in the last 24 hours or so, has talked about wanting to see the agriculture sector return to normal, no unnecessary restrictions on ploughing. So they're trying yet again to get the economy, to get this country back to normal. But at the same time, Li Keqiang urging that those tough restrictions in place, particularly around Hubei, must remain.
Bethany, to you in Milan, are there draconian measures still in place in northern Italy?
Well, the Italian government a few days ago quarantined a cluster of towns in Lombardy and one in Veneto, a measure affecting about 55,000 people. Those people are still in quarantine. That's where the epicenter of this outbreak occurred. People there were asked to stay at home within those areas and not move out in an attempt to try and stop the spread of this contagion. The authorities say that more than 1,500 people have tested positive for the virus, but they say the vast majority of those have shown slight symptoms or no symptoms at all. 34 people have died and around 140 people remain in intensive care.
Robin, there is growing concern around the world on many levels. One of the key ones, of course, is the financial impact, the economic impact of the coronavirus. What has the damage been so far to China's economy?
Well, it's been severe, and that impact has been confirmed today by the results of a survey carried out by a private institution, Caixin, of businesses, of factories, that showed that new orders and production at factories across China, remember, the world's second largest economy, took a significant hit in January, and that confirms what we saw in official government figures that were released on Saturday, both suggesting a significant fall in factory production. The most significant, in fact, for 16 years. That's when records first began back in 2004. Conversely, though, we saw a bit of a rally in Asian markets today, and that is because, particularly if you're in the real estate sector or in the infrastructure sector, you are now very strongly of the belief that central bankers, both here in China and perhaps beyond, will have some kind of enhanced stimulus measures to come to try and help the economy recover. But there's no doubt the impact on China's economy in January is severe. Look, people aren't going to work, they're staying at home, but they're not going out shopping either. It's that simple.
Briefly, Bethany, is Italy's economy taking a hit too?
It's a matter of very big concern for people here. I mean, just in the tourism section alone, there have been a lot of cancellations in hotels. People have cancelled trips here. And also there are warnings from economists that if this carries on for much longer, Italy's fragile economy could be tipped into recession, because of course this outbreak has occurred in northern Italy, in the great powerhouse of Italy's economy. But in one small bright spot here in Milan today, one of its main tourist attractions, the cathedral, which you can see behind me, has reopened to tourists, and they're now allowing small groups of people to visit in. But there have been appeals by politicians here in Italy for people to still come and visit, saying Italy is safe to visit.
Bethany, thanks for joining us from Milan, and Robin in Hong Kong as well. Good to have you both with us. Well, as we've been reporting, there's been a sharp rise in cases of the virus in Iran. Some 500 new cases have been confirmed there, up from less than 1,000 on Sunday. There have now been 66 deaths there in total, including a member of the country's high-ranking council that advises the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Or Rana Rahimpour from BBC Persian is here for us. Can we trust these figures, Rana?
Not many people believe these figures, including the MP from Rasht, which is a city north of the country. He says that these figures sound more like a joke. He said that the situation in the city of Rasht is very serious. All the hospitals are full. They're running out of beds for the people who are ill. And he said that these numbers are just a joke. He doesn't take them seriously. Unconfirmed reports, unofficial reports that the BBC Persian has managed to get hold of, says at least 210 people have been killed by the virus, but the Iranian officials have denied these reports.
So the health services in Iran probably can't cope, we can imagine, with these kind of numbers.
They definitely can't cope, and the reports we're receiving, don't forget that at the moment there are at least 27 provinces across the country. In total there are only 31 provinces in Iran, and 27 provinces have reported cases of the coronavirus. So clearly they don't have enough infrastructure. They say they have deployed 300 groups to fight the virus, but it seems that they won't be able to cope.
How confusing is it for people to be getting different sources of information and not really knowing what information they can trust?
It is very confusing. Many people turn to social media or foreign-based Persian news channels, but it's very difficult and people are confused. They don't know whether they can buy masks, or does it matter to wear masks or not, and if it matters, they really can't get hold of it. So the whole country is seriously worried.
Rana, thank you very much.
Thank
A very
you.
worrying picture there in Iran.